game, of course, being the pick of PoYo, is going to be Daybreak.
Yep, so a nice big map to work with, and yep, so let's go ahead and jump right on into it. And yeah, no reason to really wait. That's a good thing about replay casts is really, you just kind of keep going, and you're not waiting for map decisions or anything like that. You just kind of keep powering on
Yeah,
through. So
no pauses, no vetoing, no whine between the games, all those things. Now, I'm not saying these players in particular are whiny, but when you have a larger tournament setting and whatnot, you usually have a lot of conflicts between players because everybody are eager to win. But let's skip that for just a second because I wouldn't mind to go ahead with the introductions. In the bottom left, we have the man who has to fight a struggle right now to remain in the Dutch StarCraft League. It is the Blue Terran PoYo representing mouse control. And if you wouldn't mind taking the other guy, sorry for not
sure.
implying that.
No problem. In the top right, representing Team Lowland Lions, we have the victor of the first game. Just needs one more win here to secure his alternate spot, really, in the land finals of the Dutch StarCraft League. His name is UThermal.
Yep. What do you expect from these players on this map? Because let's be honest a bit here. I tried to mention this. Well, I not tried to mention it, but I just happened to mention this quite a lot of times when I actually get to cast this one map. It's sort of a dead map, isn't it? It's sort of a map we're not really gonna see in the future. I mean, it's gone from ladder now, and it's starting to seep away from tournaments. I guess WCS still keeping it, but I don't know for how long. So, what should we expect on this map? Basically a Wings of Liberty map with a HOTS metagame.
Yeah, there's a lot of dead space behind the main base, so drops, once again, very, very possible here. And in this matchup, I mean, with Hellbats and Hellions and Medivacs being such like a huge part of Terran and Heart of the Swarm, I would not be surprised to see drops once again on this map. The natural's not quite as simple to drop, but the main base, pretty wide open. There's a lot of space to work with. If you like maybe drop in the top right corner if there's no buildings up that way, there's a lot of space to work with on this map. So drops, almost certainly a possibility from one of these players. It's probably going to happen.
Yeah, I feel that in terms of main and natural, I would actually, considering upon it a bit, it's fairly similar to Aklon, wouldn't you say?
I'm trying to picture Aklon in my head. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, about that. Yeah, I mean, as far as like droppability and like go bounce back between the two bases. Yeah, I think you're pretty much right on that one. So I mean, you can bounce back and forth. The little ledge on the high ground, not a huge deal, but with speed medivacs, any ledge is a significant thing to get past. For even stim marines take a while to get back down to a base if a medivac goes over that area. So yeah, could see some big bouncing back and forth between these bases.
Yeah, you're right indeed. We're seeing, if I'm not actually mistaken, we're seeing almost identical openings here to begin with from both players. However, UThermal decides to switch it up a bit. Is he? Well, I think he is.
Yeah, PoYo's doing very much a similar thing to what he did before that reactor first, but Factory, I think, I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. This looks fairly similar to what we saw in the last game. I'm sure it's going to lead to pretty much the same place, just because, I mean, how important Hellbats, Hellions, and Medivacs, like I said, are for Terran right now. But, I mean, both these players are kind of trying to get to the same place in the most part, but I'd like to see if PoYo can actually get his Widow Mine drop off this time, if that is what he goes for. Has the expansion, has the factory, once again, so looking to maybe do the same thing. And the Widow Mines, I'm going to see if they could be a bit more effective here. Like you said in the last game, they just got out just a little bit too late to actually be effective against UThermal.
Yeah, and they, of course, players learn from their mistakes, so maybe we'll see them placed in the sort of common drop areas right now. Of course, I'm not really sure where you would want to elevate on this map, if you would want to do that at all, so perhaps we're not actually going to see that, and that might be our first deviation. This one SCV from PoYo, I'm not sure if it got all the way into the natural. I doubt so, actually. It goes down and dies and doesn't get much of a scout off, so both players playing fairly blind right now.
Yeah, at this point in time, yeah, we could potentially see scans, but both Terran players not really willing to throw scans away when they both use mules, or I can't follow a mule behind, but it might help with the scouting just a little bit if they do want to go for that. But both players also will have, looks like, Hellions pretty soon, and, well, who needs to scout when you can just drop in their base and kill their workers and see what's going on at the same time?
Yeah, it looks like we're actually having at least the same sized force moving out here for UThermal, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how exactly he will use these dudes basically to accomplish damage once again. PoYo seems a bit better prepared almost compared to last time, but he
Mhm.
doesn't have his. Actually, I think that's the exact same composition once again. So this is basically just redoing what we saw last time.
I'm trying to figure out. I guess there's an SCV brought with U-Thermal to maybe repair some Hellions if they get damaged and continue this attack if he wants to. So that's a nice little idea right there. Hellions going to go ahead and take a bit of engagement here, but here comes the elevator, and that doesn't work out quite as well as we would have liked. Going to lose actually a couple of Hellions here, and that did not work out brilliantly. And like you were saying, there's not really a good spot to elevator on this map. I mean, he picked pretty much the only spot he could, but there's almost always buildings there to spot that. So I don't really know why he really went for that at that point in time. I mean, I know that's kind of maybe his build, but this map is really not the best for that sort of idea.
Yeah, I guess it worked last time, and he just decided to try it again. We're actually seeing the medevac coming back right here. I was a bit afraid because PoYo moved quite a bit out, but now he might be able to defend this a bit easier. These Marines, they're not having stim, and there's only one Hellion in this mix, so I don't expect this drop to do far too much. Maybe kill the supply depot, I guess, before it's
That poor
canceled.
SCV? Why was that poor SCV drop there as well? He didn't ask for this, but yeah,
Yeah.
we'll defend that drop pretty adequately. And at the end of the day, I mean, he's lost. His 3 workers have been killed. One of them was probably a scout too, so call it 2 for that overall pressure, and not nearly as effective as last game's aggression for U-Thermal. But this game, he did get a much earlier second command center, so I think he's in a bit better of a position as far as that's concerned to try and advance and keep up with PoYo. But PoYo right now has a pretty decent lead as far as army supply is concerned. Worker count's pretty close, but does have the slightly faster orbital.
Yeah, I expect these medevac Hellbat combos coming out to be the backbone of PoYo's playstyle right now. And we also see a Widow Mine drop, which is not the most effective thing versus Terran, to be honest. Of course, there is a missile turret, so it's not even really going to force a scan. I don't really know what the Widow Mines here are trying to accomplish. And why the one in the middle line is not moving. Oh, there it's actually moving, going to a better location, and looks like that wasn't far too good of an investment.
Yeah, the one Widow Mine is still remaining down by the tech lab that's researching STEM, so that's going to have to require a scan to take out, and he will do that. So it only gets one shot off, maybe killed a couple Marines, but that was about it. So, yeah, not the most effective trade, but I mean, Widow Mines aren't that expensive, so and he didn't lose the medevac either, so at least he maintains that. So he can continue to drop with Hellbats if he wants to, and it looks like that is indeed what he's going to do. And we'll see if it can be more effective than his Widow Mine drop, but there are turrets in both of those mineral lines, so I'm not really sure how effective this can be.
Yeah, we did see the turrets really neglecting the first Hellbat drop, if not even the only Hellbat drop last game. We're having a Hellbat drop just being parked outside of natural, and another one going for the main. So we're gonna have to, I believe, PoYo is actually gonna try to drop both at the exact same time, and let's see how that works out.
Yeah, and as far as I'm trying to look at the army, I'm trying to find traditional's. I mean, U-Thermal's army doesn't really have a whole lot. I mean, it has a lot of Marines in bunkers right now, and it's gonna be hard to react to both these drops at the same time. I mean, the Hellbats will drop out before the medevacs are picked off, and a lot of damage being done here at the natural already, and now that'll force him to respond to the natural base with these Marines. But here comes the second drop as well, dropping right in, and this is a lot more effective than in game number 1 with these Hellbat drops. Already up to 13 workers killed for PoYo.
Yeah, these Hellbat drops absolutely roast workers, and I believe we saw a drop being attempted somewhere, but I do not actually know where it went for U-Thermal. Oh wow, is that missile turret actually gonna burn down? It looks like it is actually. Well, that's unfortunate because it was quite the backbone of the anti-Hellbat defense right there. There, the drop is from U-Thermal, and he doesn't really get far too much going with that either. So he's not in a great position right now.
Yeah, worker count right now significantly in PoYo's favor, in 52 to 33 at this point in time, and that's a pretty significant lead in a mirror matchup when you're sitting on even bases. And yeah, PoYo's got to be feeling pretty good about himself. Has Hellbats, and this is where you really want to get with a bit more mech style composition. It's right now U-Thermal can't really afford to trade like he did in the last game because he has a lower economy. He can't afford to make the same number of units and throw them away like he did in the previous game. Otherwise, he might just get killed by the stronger mech army that PoYo has at this point in time. So right now, this game is pretty much going the opposite of what we saw in last game as far as what both players were aiming to do with their compositions and with their early to mid game.
Yeah, as a person who's not very good at remembering, awfully hard to keep a track of because it's basically just like last game but reversed,
Yeah.
and it's fairly interesting to see. I guess we see double drop here from uThermal, one in the natural, one in the main. And let's see how that actually works out. A beautiful Viking dodge, I must say.
Yeah, the Vikings out of position actually pretty badly there, and they're going to come back to try and deal with these medevacs. And well, it looks like the main is actually taking a significant bit of damage for PoYo. Mostly supply depots going down right now, not really being controlled too much. A couple workers are getting picked off though,
Yeah.
and well, all these supply depots going down is a little bit obnoxious, but I mean, PoYo has room to spare in supply. But this drop has still been a lot more effective already than before. I mean, almost catching up with workers killed. The worker count is probably a bit more even now. Yeah, 40 to 43. Actually, now uThermal's ahead in workers.
Well, this is very interesting. I feel that the splitting of armies right here is not far too good on PoYo's side. He has Hellbats basically walking back and forth between the natural and main. And let's be honest, Hellbats deal a lot of damage, but they're not really fast.
No, they're tremendously immobile. I mean, that's just kind of true of all Terran, quote-unquote, mech-style units. And right now, all he has is Hellbats and tanks, and they're just not going to move around tremendously fast. They're both pretty damn slow units. And now that he's taking this third base, he's going to be hard-pressed to really defend all three of his bases at the same time with the army that he has. It's going to be very, very difficult. He should really invest in some more missile turrets, and maybe even not over-invest, but he needs to significantly invest in those turrets to give himself time to react to these drops, because right now he does not have much of anything.
Yeah, it's weird to see him not do that because surely he doesn't really lack the minerals for it, does he?
No, oh god, no, he certainly does not.
Yeah.
He's rolling in the money at this point in time.
And that's also why I'm. Oh, there we actually go. Gas is being taken at the third, but the third is gonna be dropped right here as well. Oh, the main is actually way before the third, and we might see a couple of more supply depots actually going down.
Yeah, this will be supplied by PoYo pretty much, and that's really obnoxious to deal with when you're trying to basically build out that mech army as fast as possible, really, while defending as adequately as you can. And well, he has no anti-air really, other than these Vikings. They need to be in. I feel like he could be patrolling better with these Vikings. Right now, they're kind of moving around as a pack, but maybe he leaves like 2 Vikings like in the vicinity of each of the bases. That could be a better idea, and he doesn't need to invest quite so much in the turrets. But right now, he's losing just so many workers to this multi-prong harass. It's just constantly coming from uThermal.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like he's falling apart a bit right here. He really needs the gas intake, and somehow he managed to dump all that stacked up mineral bank he just had earlier. So I guess he's just making a pure Hellbat army almost.
Yeah, he's made a few bit of turrets as well, but well, apparently not enough. Now he's dropping down more in the back. PoYo's like, I just really want these supply depots in the back of my main to be okay. Just please stop killing them. I would love that, but not quite going to happen. But I mean, at the same time, at least PoYo has the third base. I mean, we haven't seen anything from uThermal as far as taking that, but it looks like he's going to push out onto the map with his force, and if he can get sieged up in a good position, it could be pretty good for him. But let's compare the tank counts really quickly. We do only have 5 tanks for PoYo versus the 3 of uThermal. But those Marauders can be very important. We saw how effective they could be in the last game. But drops continuing to go on. They just do not stop from this guy. But, I mean, the thing is, he's taking out workers, but he's not really limiting the army count of PoYo. He's only hitting economy, and now the drops are getting slightly less effective. But, well, as I say that, more dying in the natural. But, I mean, these just don't stop.
I mean, there is only Vikings here for anti-air. Absolutely nothing but Vikings, and these Vikings are not being utilized for that purpose very well. I mean, they're going about with the army as you mentioned before, and they're going back and forth between the third and the main, and usually they allow the drop to be there for maybe even a half a minute or a whole minute before anything happens about it. And is that a tank?
It is. That's a pretty cheeky thing to drop in there. And the thing with Vikings, I mean, you can't just patrol one Viking against meet the speed medevacs. They're too fast. They will get in. You can't stop that. One Viking isn't enough. And you really need to start putting two patrolling Vikings together. Another drop at the third base. Viking will get taken out, but a fair bit of the bio does get dropped once again. But the Hellbats are here to respond. I feel like PoYo's getting a little bit better at responding to these eventually, but well, here comes the army of uThermal, and army supply right now is in PoYo's advantage, but his army is a little bit split up just due to the fact of all these drops happening, so well, yeah. It's also hard to attack into mech.
Yeah, a massive drop going down here in the main, and I believe we have a force which is just so prepped to go into the natural at any time soon. The siege tank is actually going to deal quite a lot of damage, but I expect the Hellbats to eventually clean this up. Oh, and the natural force stims in and then goes right back out. I'm a bit disappointed with that, actually. I expected a lot of stuff to happen right there.
Yeah, there weren't really enough Marauders in that group on the low ground to really go up and really deal with those tanks as effectively as they would have liked. Those Marines would have melted to the splash damage from these 5 tanks. They probably could have gotten them, but it would have been at a very significant cost. But I don't know. It's over time. I mean, it's Poyo's still just building up the army he wants. He's been delayed here and there, but uThermal's not gaining like a huge advantage on the back of these. He's kind of just like maintaining an even course and like even army supply or even supply with his opponent, as opposed to last game where he's just whittling him down piece by piece.
Yeah, I feel like finally PoYo is getting quite the, well, not entirely solid, but a very solid drop defense right here, especially in the main. Those missile turrets, I don't know if it's worth going all this way in, actually. Let's see if this huge drop actually pays out for uThermal.
Yeah, that is quite the doom drop. But right now he's really just attacking missile turrets and supply depots. But here comes the army of PoYo. And if he can clean this up cost effectively, he'll be in a pretty good shape. But we did see that stim up on the natural, and the tanks actually all will fall there. And trying to take out missile turrets as well. So nice little attack there at the front from uThermal. Going to start going to work on some of these factory add-ons, trying to limit that production as well. The drop in the main has been cleaned up, so the rest of PoYo's army can come down to defend this. But uThermal, content with the damage he's done, will run towards the third base and might just drop in these tanks.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he does. I mean, the situation right here is that if uThermal actually manages to kill off the tanks, he can kite the Hellbat free on siege tank army for so long. I mean, this is an immobile army, and here we see in the natural just a large force coming in and starting to clear away at the Hellbat, starting to clear away at the production, and 2 siege tanks already might be a bit incost effective to break, actually.
Yep, and they will go down. Hellbats do tank against tanks pretty decently well, but Stim Bio is pretty terrifying to face against them because you can just keep kiting them literally for eternity without that siege tank backup. Gonna drop on the tanks once again. I mean, this is just constant aggression. This battle has been going on forever for uThermal, just constantly attacking every base he can. But it looks like he will finally be cleaned up here after what felt like the longest fight I've ever seen. And both players pretty close to even in supply, even at the end of that. But, I mean, that generally favors, I would say, the Bio player, because the tank count's been really limited for PoYo. He is down to, oh, actually, I lied. He's down to 6 tanks, which is less than before, but still a fair number, but only 4 Hellbats to help actually tank for those tanks.
Yeah, I mean, just to point a bit of what you were saying, I mean, I don't think any player has built supply depots in ages, and they've had no need to, because units are just dying left and right. Yet another poke here at the third, and the siege tanks are not really moving, so it looks like PoYo is going to rely on his Hellbat alone and actually decides that it's not really enough. I'm not far too surprised. A bit early GG timing there, I must say, but he was slowly falling apart there when sort of uThermal got back into the game. When he got all those units constantly streaming across the map, we saw less mech army being produced for every time, and eventually there was just not enough.